And welcome everyone to Top Cut here at our first gym challenge for our autumn season at Psychotutor Plays. I am Jesus Coronel. Joining me, Abu Vatsabai. We have our first quarterfinal matchup. It'll be Brandon Davis and Hector Vargas.
So these are pretty two well-known players. I mean, Brandon, mainstay here. Hector, he doesn't come as often, but he always tends to make Top Cut. So, you know, first up, Brandon's team, using the signature Brandon Pokemon, Armarouge, Indeedee, Dragapult, Sneasler, Ursaluna Hisuian, and Abomasnow. Right? He's been liking that Abomasnow lately. And then you have Hector with more of a standard team, right? You have like King Gambit, Primarina, Sneasler, Magmar, Rillaboom, and Dragapult. So both of these have the Dragapult and Sneasler, right? And they've been pretty common odds in the format. So, you know, honestly, I don't know how this matchup would go. It is primarily going to be a terrain war, but, you know, that Armarouge, as opposed to, like, Hatterene. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, opposed to that, it probably will be a pretty important battle here between the terrains. And we see one bit of terrain get into play immediately from Brandon. It'll be Indeedee and Sneasler with the lead, which will activate a Psychic Seed from this Sneasler to give it Unburden to double its speed stat. For Hector, it'll be Magmar and King Gambit, which does threaten the Indeedee, but I'm not sure how much the Magmar can provide. Like, yes, you have Follow Me here, potentially, to go for, and I'm pretty sure after the Psychic Seed boost, Overheat's not going anything unless you go for the Will-O-Wisp, which can't be redirected by the Indeedee.
Yeah, so it's actually really kind of interesting here, because while Magmar can do Follow Me, he's only going to be Follow Meing away like a, again, like the Dire Claw, whatnot, right? And oh, not the Dire Claw, sorry, the Close Combat. So Armarouge switching in here. Yeah,
Armarouge is going to go in and switch in for this Indeedee. King Gambit protects in the face of Close Combat. Instead is Dire Claw to the Magmar, and thanks to that Vital Spirit ability, it cannot go to sleep off that Dire Claw, and Magmar gets the opportunity to go for the Will-O-Wisp. It connects, and Sneeze was burned. Its attack cut in half. Armarouge should be in a decent spot here. Once again, the problem is just Follow Me, because Expanding Force can't touch King Gambit without the Terra, and Armor Cannon, although super effective against King Gambit, is resisted by Magmar.
Yeah, so yeah, this is the crippling on the Sneasler is actually absolutely huge here, right? Because that was, again, while it was a good call by Brandon, right? He still got the burn off, right? And it's in a rough position. Although it's fast, it can you know, it's kind of just a sitting duck. And actually, just go. Brandon just going for. Looks like he's just going for one of his signature plays and just going for the Expanding Force here. Yeah,
that Expanding Force will do a lot of damage to that Magmar, and until we know that Hector Terras the King Gambit, it's only going to be touched as Magmar. Speaking of Terra, Brandon goes ahead and Terras the Armarouge, so it's no longer weak to Dark types. With the Psychic type to have beforehand. Oh boy, who is this Terra on? If this is King Gambit, this Expanding Force is going to do a number here. It is King Gambit, but it's still a Dark type.
Yeah. So I was going to say, yeah, it's still a Dark type, so it's not going to do much damage, but the Magmar is kind of a thorn in the side of Brandon's game plan here, so just one-shotting this Magmar and just getting it over with is, like, absolutely fine. And also, like, to be fair, like, yeah, this Dire Claw goes out.
Ooh, there's a paralysis.
Yeah, so...
But this may not matter based on the Expanding Force damage that would come out. Armarouge will launch that Expanding Force in second terrain, which will be a spread move, hitting both Pokemon, unfortunately unaffected by the King Gambit, and Magmar goes down.
So this is I think this is absolutely fine right here.
Yeah, let's see what the King Gambit does here as the Armarouge takes some Life Orb recoil damage. Cast Out Cleave will be boosted by the Terra Dark, and the Black Classes that it has is still targeted to the Armarouge. Will it take it? Yes, it will!
Yeah, so Armarouge's defense stat being, like, pretty high in terms of in terms of his defenses there. So yeah, it takes it well, and it's going to be able to get off another Expanding Force probably into this Primarina, depending on what it depending on the speed stat of the Primarina, because some of them do like to go.
Yeah, some of them like to go fast, some of them just like the speed creep for Tailwind. And
yeah,
judging by Hector's team, it's probably more built for a bulk, because obviously we don't see any speed control on the Hector side, unless, I mean, we would have seen speed control of those Electabuzz there instead of the Magmar, but that's the flip side of the coin there for each of those Kanto signature Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, the interesting thing here is usually Primarina's, like, really threatened here by the Dire Claw, but the thing is, since the Sneasler's burned, it's not actually, like, as bad as you would expect, right?
Yeah, no, it would still take significant damage, but, like, you're probably taking half at most.
Yeah, and depending on how especially bulky it is, it might be able to take a Dire Claw.
Oh, I was right about it being half damage. Okay, no special effect happening.
So this is a faster Armor Rouge here.
Yeah, here comes that expanding force, and the Pre-Marina goes down.
Yeah, so Brandon's just content to click expanding force and just KO everything next to the King Gambit, and it's probably gonna go down to the Kowtow Cleave here.
Will it though? No, it's going to the Sneasler. I was going to say, we probably are better off going after the Sneasler here. Oh, goodness gracious, it did not KO. And I was about to say, you're probably better off targeting the Sneasler because eventually Armor is going to faint to the Life Orb, and you might as well get the damage on the Sneasler, so it also could just faint to the burn. But now that Gorilla Boom is the last Pokemon for Hector, things are a little complicated.
So, because Rillaboom is the last one, obviously when the DD comes back in, like, it just gets his terrain for free, right? You can't, like, no more terrain wars, and that's exactly what Brandon's just put the terrain back up. And I don't think he minds too much about the Sneasler going down because his game plan is going to be centering around more of a Trick Room mode now, right? But the thing is I do think King Gambit is still a little bit of a problem. He launches the Dire Claw, so he's just content.
There is the Dire Claw here. Sorry to interrupt. There's Woodhammer going to finish off the Sneasler. I'll let you continue now.
Oh, yeah. So I'm finishing off the Sneasler. The Woodhammer picks it up, and honestly, the Kowtow Cleave coming into Indeedee right here.
Yeah, this will knock it out, but I'm pretty sure Brandon's in a good position because, like, it depends on what your last Pokemon in the back, because Armor Rouge only has one turn to attack us at that Life Orb. And Brandon's last one. Oh, okay, it's that Dragapult, so it's not over. So Brandon still has he's still looking pretty good. It's just like you gotta get the most out of Armor Rouge this turn because it will be its last.
Yeah. So the thing is with Armor Rouge here, right, is it's probably gonna be one of the focal points, right? And it's probably slower than this. Probably slower than like everything else besides King Gambit here. So it can just launch the Expanding Force, and Dragapult could really just honestly go for a darts pretty or actually locking into Outrage here. So that's actually an interesting one, right? Because if that hits into Gambit, then it does a lot, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll have to see indeed, because that Outrage does not. I mean, Outrage doesn't KO one of its targets, but again, you can't really determine who you're targeting with that Outrage because it has to target at least something, which. If it goes after the King Gambit, I believe the game's over. If it goes after the Rillaboom, it's a little awkward here.
Okay, so I think
Outrage.
The Rillaboom
okay, yeah, it is going to be the Rillaboom, so it is going to come down to this King Gambit, whether or not it can knock out the Dragapult here, or if it gets a chance to with his Armor Cannon. If it knocks out King Gambit, Brandon wins. If it doesn't, Hector wins. Here comes that Armor Cannon, and critical hit!
Hey! And
do we know? We do not know if that mattered, by the way.
Yeah, we do not know if that mattered. It depends on the calcs there, but I mean, at least Armor Rouge, pulling through, just like pulling through Brandon's favorite Pokemon.
Because as I said, if King Gambit survives there, Hector wins because of the Kowtow Cleave going after the Dragapult, and again, that was what I was saying. That Armor Rouge needs to make his last moments count, and it certainly did.
Yeah, so I mean, Life Orb Armor Cannon does do a lot, and honestly, with because it's not like an Assault Vest King Gambit, I probably that was KO. Armor Cannon is just basically a special Fire type close combat. It's like strong, so like I could see that I could see that still KOing. But I mean, now going back in game 2, I mean, Brandon kind of winning that by the skin of his teeth. I think if he does anything, he should try to switch it up. While he usually does switch it up.
Yeah, he does switch it up pretty often. I actually tested that because I unfortunately played him already. So
yeah, and
I guess it looks like the switch up might be going into the Trick Room mode, but it's going to depend on how he approaches, because Trick Room's good at everything unless you see that King Gambit Premier specifically.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, King Gambit. I mean, while it didn't prove to be like an insane of a problem, it was a little annoying there. So like,
it was just hitting those Kowtow Cleaves without much punishment.
Yeah, exactly. So and again, that's partly because the Sneasler got burned at a really opportune time. So that was a good. Maybe if the Sneasler doesn't get burned there, it's a different story for Brandon here.
Yeah, and speaking of different story, we have 2 different leads here between these 2 trainers. It's going to be Magmar on the field for Hector. It's going to be a similar lead for Brandon. It's going to be that Sneasler and Indeedee, which will activate a Psychic Seed, giving it a special defense boost in front of these 2 special attackers. Will-O-Wisp looks pretty likely, but it's also likely that Indeedee could just set a Trick Room in the face of Hector.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. This is like pretty much. I believe this is the same lead that Brandon.
It is.
Game. Yeah,
and here's Follow Me coming out from this Magmar. Unfortunately, we didn't get any time for discussion as both these trainers are moving and moving quick. Each of their supporting Pokemon going for Follow Me between the Indeedee and the Magmar. Freeman might not care about it. Sneasler will, though, as a Dire Claw lands into this Magmar. Nothing happens in terms of the secondary effect. Ooh, I'm interested to see that it wasn't Hyper Voice coming out from this Primarina instead of going for the Moonblast, getting Indeedee under half HP and dropping a special attack.
Yeah, so that's actually kind of huge because like sometimes Indeedee does want to go offensive, so it might be a little rough on that end. But I mean, Brandon contemplating a switch here. He really likes doing stuff like this, where he kind of just like he's gonna click Trick Room on like this Indeedee, right, and then switch in Ursaluna so it gets a burn immediately because it's not like super threatened. So I mean, that's one thing Brandon likes to do, but might not, right? It's just an option he has up his sleeve. So again, he's thinking about it.
10 seconds left on that timer. I mean, Brandon certainly does take his time to make his decisions. Sometimes the decisions are hard to make that as eating up your timer. Hector goes for another Follow Me, making sure Primarina stays safe.
He went for a very interesting play here. He actually
Let's find out what it is. Close combat into this Magmar. Not enough for the knockout. Is it good? No, it's unburned. I keep thinking it's poison touch, but it actually isn't. So, pardon my intrusion. Here's Hyper Voice from the Sneasler out there. Its defense has got lowered. A critical hit into the Indeedee, not enough. Trick Room goes up, and it's good for his Pokemon in the back, but the problem is your Pokemon in the front are still here.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. Like, it was a very interesting play there, and I think he wanted to keep the Ursaluna safe a little bit. So it's like one of the... he didn't want to switch it in the alien type. Maybe he's content to sack this. Continue from there.
Yeah, I was going to say, that Dire Claw is probably... That Dire Claw is just not stepping away into the Primarina. Protect comes out for this Magmar to make sure it doesn't get KO'd by a potential... no, I don't think it can get KO'd here. Here's Moonblast into the Sneasler. Down it goes. Indeedee has a free turn to do whatever it wants here. It looks to be that alluring voice that it has, which is a very... niche situation that it has, but unfortunately we're not going to see any chance of that as it will hit to protect the Magmar. Alluring Voice, if I recall correctly, confuses the target if it has a stat boost.
Yep. So, I mean...
and a Bombsnow comes in place of the Sneasler. Yeah,
so the Bombsnow coming in place of the Sneasler, that's a... Again, Trick Room's up, and it's actually very interesting that he did send in a Bombsnow, right? Because, I mean, might have wanted, like, Ursaluna there. But, I mean, but because... he does that. He does have like insane blizzard threat. I believe the Bombsnow does. I mean, he gets that Aurora Veil too, and Energy Ball does threaten this Primarina. Yep. So it makes sense that he sent it out. It's not just going for anything with Ursaluna just yet.
I mean, Ursaluna is not really in a great spot to switch in because, again, it depends on how slow does a Bombsnow is. Because if it's slow enough to threaten an Energy Ball onto the Primarina before the Terra, then Primarina is sort of forced to Terra and then click Hyper Voice. And then it's just like, how much damage is Hyper Voice doing to the Ursaluna in that case? We're going to see the Indeedee switch out into this Ursaluna from Brandon, which is not going to activate the Flame Orb just yet. It's going to depend on what happens here. Hector Terras, is this the Primarina we're talking about in order to avoid that Energy Ball? It is going to be that Terra to poison.
Yeah, so this is actually very interesting. This is actually a very interesting play by Brandon, right? Because he realizes that Primarina is probably going to have to Terra or Protect, and can't really like use a move.
Magmar tries it. Yeah, Magmar's trying to go for a move here as Follow Me goes out. Bombsnow did not click Energy Ball, going for the Blizzard. It's not doing a whole lot of damage to Primarina, and no freeze, unfortunately, Abu.
Yep, no freeze. And
yeah, there's a Hyper Voice. And Finger still should take one. Yeah, it will take one. And Life Orb set up, but I believe there's only 2 turns left of Trick Room.
Yeah, so 2 turns left of Trick Room.
It's either 2 or 3. 2 if I counted correctly, 3 if I did not count correctly.
Yeah, I believe it's...
and Kingambit's the last one.
Well, actually, this is...
Actually, yeah, it is the last one. No. We did not know the last Pokemon. Why am I jumping my words?
It's fine. I mean, yeah. So we can't really see how many turns left of Trick Room there is now, but it's either 2 or 3, and it's actually really interesting, right? Because it's kind of hard for him to break through both of these, right? He can break through the Kingambit pretty well, but he doesn't really want to Earthquake here. Because of a Bombsnow.
Yeah, I was going to say, even if you resist it and you have a defense boost, you probably won't want to take that turn. Double Protect from Hector. Now, this turn can play out if... Yeah, I was going to say, this turn can only play out positively for Hector if Ursaluna goes for the Earthquake, but it is resisted, it is snow boosted because of that ice typing.
Yeah, so it might not actually do cheer, but I mean...
It is also just guts boosted, and that's a decent amount.
That did the okay amount, right? But the thing is, though, is because there was only like 2 to 3, these Pokemon aren't gonna be able to protect anymore. So it's like it's a little interesting. I think Hector's last Pokemon might be the Rillaboom.
Psychic Terrain is gone, so Sucker Punch is now available for Hector, unless, of course, this Indeedee swaps back in.
Yeah, so now he just goes straight for the offensive here. I believe that the Ursaluna can take it. Unterran version of King Gambit. It does have pretty good physical bulk, so it could take 1 Sucker Punch, but it probably faints the Flame Orb, so he needs to make this turn count. So, going for the Blizzard.
Ooh, switch out the Primarina.
Very smart.
Now we're going to see the last Pokemon. It is that Rillaboom, which will reduce the Earthquake damage.
And that's actually really good, because I believe that he did not actually click Earthquake here.
We'll find out right here. King Abby, let's go for the Sucker Punch on the Ursaluna. Not enough for the knockout, unfortunately, even with those boosts. Ursaluna did go for the Earthquake. Will it knock out anything? Not even close to the King Gambit and the Rillaboom. And Obama's taking it down to yellow HP again. The rest have been helping it, and Aurora Veil is set up. But Trick Room, I believe, is gone this turn.
Yeah, so Trick Room's gone this turn. Aurora Veil is set up. This Ursaluna has a lot of... this Abomasnow is very bulky now. But even then, it is still weak to the King Gambit here, right? And it's actually a very interesting...
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? Because
wait a minute, hold on a minute. I just noticed he did not maximize his power points on his Blizzard, so I believe if Hector stalls out long enough, I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, I believe so too. But so now the priority is shut off here, right? While Rillaboom still can technically go for the Grassy Glide, if the Blizzard goes through, I think the Rillaboom bad situation here. So does the Sucker Punch come out?
A Terra comes out from Brandon. That's the first thing that's going to be happening here. It's the Abomasnow, and it will be Ice typing, boosting its Blizzard damage, but still keeping it weak to that Iron Head. No, it doesn't even have Iron Head. It's not threatened by super effective damage. Well, okay, yeah, it was never threatened. High Horsepower comes out, it will knock out the Indeedee. So basically that slot's always going to be in danger of a knockout no matter what.
Yeah.
See what happens here between this King Gambit and the Abomasnow. Abomasnow's faster than the King Gambit, will launch this Blizzard in the snow, which will knock out the Rillaboom. No, it won't knock out the King Gambit either. Resistant hit comes out, freezes, it got into the King Gambit!
And he needed that.
Does it thaw? Does it thaw? It does not fall out!
And he needed that freeze, because King Gambit was probably the most threatening thing on that field right now. And yeah, I mean, I actually believe that Rillaboom still can technically Grassy Glide this, but King Gambit not being able to do much here is like so big.
Yeah, well, unless of course no, I think even if you try to go for the Sucker Punch on Fob, but then you just wouldn't do anything. We're still going to protect here. It will at least survive one more turn of
even
Burn
with the
Chip.
Burn Chip. Yeah,
it'll survive one more. Woodhammer goes into the Ursaluna to try to knock it out right then and there. Won't get that opportunity. The Abomasnow will knock out the Rillaboom with the Blizzard, but it only has one more left after this turn. Does it knock out the King Gambit?
Even matter, though. That's the thing. Does it even matter? Because like, there's not actually. I wouldn't say there's not much to do, but Psychic Terrain being up.
Yeah, it's still frozen solid. Snow is gone as well, and because there is no more switching, the snow's permanently gone, meaning Hector still has a route to victory, unironically enough.
Yeah, Blizzard could just miss. Also, this
Primarina
is pretty healthy.
Not only that, I believe Primarina might be faster than these two Pokemon that Brandon has. It's going to depend on the Auroraville calcs.
Yeah.
If that's still up. Kind of think if Hyper Voice doesn't up on the Abomasnow. If not, you got to go for the Moonblast to the Abomasnow.
Abomasnow is pretty bulky, so
here's Hyper Voice, and it does knock out the Earth a little bit. It will not knock out the Abomasnow.
Okay, now we need to wait and see if Blizzard hits both.
It misses something. It misses the Primarina, but it will connect the King Gambit. But here's your problem: you're stuck using Energy Ball against this Terra Poison Primarina.
Yup, and to be fair though, Abomasnow is still pretty bulky here. I don't know. I think it does. Oh,
That's it.
Oh, he's not even gonna try. That's
to be fair. I don't think Energy Ball is gonna do like at most the entire HP bar of Primarina and Terra Poison.
I mean, he has chances. Like he could fish for like special drops. Like yeah, it's generally over. He doesn't want to stall it out more than it has to, so they're just gonna go to game 3. Brandon taking it. Hector seems to be playing around this very well. So I mean, props to him. Brandon, like you said, right? Like Brandon does need to adjust a little bit because he kind of he barely won the game 1, right? Like he got pretty lucky. Even after getting lucky in this last one, he still couldn't really pull it out, unfortunately. So
yeah, that situation was a little awkward because of how quickly the Sneasler was dealt with.
Yeah.
And that's been the story of the set. Brandon wants to get that Sneasler going, but all those times it was redirected by the Magmar or it was burned by the Magmar.
Exactly, right? Now actually he's going for, honestly, like, this is a pretty standard lead. I just saw him go, like, I think he's switching up for this last game, and it might actually turn out well, right? Especially if he doesn't, Hector has just played the King Gambit, like, really well. Right, which is
he's gotten into positions where even though it got frozen that one time, it's not been like the worst thing that could have happened because every time it was able to go for those cast-out cleaves and such, it got consistent damage. It was able to put up pressure towards Brandon. But speaking of Brandon, he's going to lead the Armor Rouge, and indeed, Hector is going to once again lead the Magmar and Primarina, and in goes Brandon with the Terra Grass.
Yeah, so this is actually really interesting. Brandon called the lead out pretty well, right? He's just saying, hey, you're not going to lead King Gambit because I'm going to lead Sneasler, right? So because he led Sneasler the first 2 games, him switching it up actually worked out in his favor here because the King Gambit isn't led. It doesn't directly threaten, neither of these Pokemon directly threaten Armor.
No, they do not. I mean, it was Hyper Voice before the Terra, but now that we know that Brandon's going to Terra, it's
and thanks to Flash Fires, not good. Yeah, the fire type moves won't do it either.
Yeah, they won't do that. It's basically the Heatran at home. As we're going to see Sneasler switch in for this Indeedee, activate a Psychic Seed to hopefully get the special defense boost to survive this 1-2 combination blow potentially from this Magmar. And Primarina should it be overheat from this Magmar. Here's the Terra Grass from Brandon. Why is Brandon shaking his head? Is he wondering about something?
No, he just likes to.
Oh, okay. I was like, I looked at the camera for one moment and I was like, did he do something differently than we all thought he would do? Alright, let's go out there away from the scuffle here. Magmar overheats into the Indeedee slot. It does not do half. It's pretty close, but it will drop the Magmar special attack by 2 stages. Armor Cannon into the Magmar. I think he was predicting to switch out over his Hera.
Yeah.
That did not do a whole lot of damage. It will lower the defenses of both Armor Rouge and the defense and special defense of Armor Rouge. I believe he was anticipating the Magmar to switch out there. I probably think that was
King Gambit, yeah.
And there's the Moonblast, not enough to the Sneasler. So it will get a chance to at least go for 1 Dire Claw, but here's your problem being, well, what if the Magmar just goes to follow me here?
Yeah, exactly. So I actually think something interesting is you can maybe expanding Flourish and go for a close combat into Magmar. King Gambit switches there. Right, but
no switch outs happening.
No switch outs happening.
Yeah, no, there is a follow me from Magmar to redirect this Sneasler's Dire Claw. It won't get the Magmar down, but Expanding Force does go out. It will knock out the Magmar. Will it knock out the Primarina? No, it will not.
The Primarina is just bulky enough, right, without like a Terra Psychic boost or anything. And now this
and the Citrus Berry procs as well on the Primarina.
Yeah, so this is quite a bulky Primarina here with the Citrus Berry. And
see the Hyper Voice?
The Hyper Voice still does not do much to Armor, even though it's at -1. And of course, Caesar is going to go down with how frail it is.
And Abomasnow is going to come in from Brandon.
Yeah, now Abomasnow is coming in. It's very interesting because, if Hector brought King Gambit, it's not the best, right? But
no,
it's just something.
It is King Gambit coming in, so no more follow me. But Terra's available for Hector. I believe this is probably a prime turn to go for Terra Dark.
Yeah, so this is actually I think this is a very interesting position, right? Because because the both Ons on the other side are faster, right? Abomasnow could do a thing where he switches into Indeedee, and if Primarina switches into Rillaboom to get the terrain back up, the Indeedee will come out last, right, due to switch priority, so he could still preserve this psychic terrain just by clicking Expanding Forcing.
I mean, that would also... I mean, yeah, that's pretty much you gotta go for here. Unless, of course, his armor is just gonna protect to make sure it doesn't maintain this King Gambit. You probably know that Tao Queep's coming in that slot. Moonblast does not do half the Obama Snow, does not get a special attack drop. This Blizzard's not doing a whole lot. It is not gonna be... double into the Obama Snow, but the Snow Boost keeps it up. Yeah,
good call by Hector there, predicting the protect. And now Brandon's kind of in a precarious situation. No Trick Room up. Obama Snow's just slow. He kind of has to go for that armor cannon. Switching Indeedee here, right?
Yeah, that is what's going to be happening. No switch up from Hector, interestingly enough. Thanks to that switch priority that we were just talking about based on the Pokemon speeds. Indeedee comes in here to hopefully tank what is to be that Moonblast. And there's the Terra from Hector.
Yeah, Terra Dark making sure that this Kowtow Cleave will KO because we have seen it not KO in the past. But
we've seen the armor cannon KO the King Gambit for the critical hit though in game number 1, so it's not out of the situation where it could be KO. Perhaps we've got an easier answer here. Our armor cannon goes into this King Gambit. Will it knock out? It will!
It will knock out, and not even a critical hit. Maybe the critical hit didn't need to happen that first game, so, it did take a little bit of chip, but, that's a question for another day.
Now it's at -2 special defense, though, so it will... Okay, no, never mind. It's going to be Indeedee taking this Moonblast. It will take it to half. No special attack drop. Hector's down to 2 Pokemon. Brandon's down to a relatively crippled Armarouge and then a half HP Indeedee. Rillaboom comes in to override the terrain for at least his turn. Abomasel's also at really low HP. I think this is going to come down very close.
So I think Brandon has an interesting way out here, right? What he can do is he can protect his Armarouge and then switch out his Abomasnow to sack it, right? And if he does, then he'll get... I'm pretty sure he gets terrain control for the rest of the game. So that's one thing.
I guess the other question I had to ask is how fast is his Rillaboom from Hector? Because if it's faster than Armorers, I believe the game's over. But if it's slower, then we get another interesting situation. It's like, well, can Armorers take an Hyper Voice or a Moonblast at -2 special defense? And I think the answer to both is no.
Yeah, so it is interesting. Yeah.
And we got it off just in time. So Indeedee will be switching out here into this Abomasnow to hopefully tank at least a hit. I believe his Armarouge also has a pretty free turn to go for to protect, so it will reset the terrain, but the problem just becomes, once again, is Armarouge faster than a Rillaboom? Which we're not going to find out right here because of the priority.
We can see by the terrain he'll come down.
No, we are not, because Woodhammer is not going to get the recoil damage off.
No. Oh, yeah, that's true, huh?
And the Premier does have a Hyper Voice? I think... Nah, I don't think it's going to survive the Hyper Voice, even though it is resisted. It launches... Yeah, okay, so it is a 2v2 now. Once again, is Armarouge faster? Although... Yeah, no, the question still is Armarouge faster, because the best you could do is redirect a Moonblast, but you cannot redirect a Hyper Voice.
Yeah, and actually... But I don't think the Hyper Voice KOs, so I think you can just redirect whatever Rillaboom wants to go for. Not like out of the question. And I'm pretty sure this Armarouge just wants to go to the Expanding, right? Just follow me, Expanding Force, yeah. And that's pretty. So he's
this Rillaboom is Assault Vest, mind you, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, so he might be thinking whether he banks on going for the helping hand for the.
Okay, Premier, let's protect. We gotta find out the speed war right now, because if Rillaboom gets a knockout on the Indeedee, I believe the game's over, depending on who's faster. Yeah. As I say, this is the third time I'm gonna say that, because this is super important. Armarouge is faster, but we do not know if it's a speed tie currently. This should not knock out the Rillaboom, as it is Assault Vest, even though this is Psychic Terrain boosted. Yeah, it just takes half. It takes a little bit of rifle recoil as well. Woodhammer comes out, this should knock out the Indeedee, and it comes down to who's faster, once again.
So they would have to be very specific EVs to be speed tied due to their differing base stats. So I'm inclined to say this Armarouge is.
All right, well, we got our answer here. Who's going to advance to the semifinal round between Brandon Davis and Hector Vargas? It's Brandon Davis who gets the faster Expanding Force, launches it. That's it, Brandon Davis 2-1.
Good stuff by Brandon. With his patented Armarouge Indeedee taking the win. Good stuff. Getting 2-1 over Hector Vargas.
dire situations there from Brendan, but he does get it done with that Armor Rouge and that Expanding Force, just being faster than the Rillaboom. That was the important part of this battle, and that is how Brandon Davis advances to the semifinal round. And yeah, that's specifically why he's still a top player in this region.
Yeah, for sure. Going with the faster Armor around this time because of the because like one, he likes to switch up his EVs all the time, and also like so he doesn't have to use that Trick Room mode like all the time, right? So this is one of those techs he likes to good stuff to Brandon, realizing his outs and playing to him.
Yeah,
got a really good lead matchup this time around too.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. Yeah. But now that that's been taken care of, we'll be right back to give you that semifinal round. We'll be back after the break.